This is our first call for Angus male stocker feeder, Avery Barnard and Reese Barnard.
Two really nice bulls to start off the Stocker Feeder show. I'm just going to leave them how they walked in and talk you through them. The bull that starts off the class, really neat made, clean in his lines from the side. When he gets out and goes, very functional and comfortable in his skeleton. He's one I'd like to maybe see a touch more rib shape up high. But overall, an animal that's very complete and well put together. That's not to take away from the one that's coming in second. He's the powerhouse of the class, but it's on the move that But it's when he gets on the move that he falls second. He's one I'd like to see just a little neater made. Up front, lay his shoulder in a touch neater and give him some more forerib there right in behind. But overall, two very nice bulls to start off the show. Thank you.
First place purple goes to Avery Barnard. Second place purple goes to Reese Barnard. First and second purples of each class will come back into the ring after both classes. Second class coming up is Angus female stocker feeder, Avery Barnard, Baylor Barnard, and Reese Barnard.
Another really nice set of females to hit the ring. It's this young lady's here on the end that I'm going to use to start. She's one that's just super cool made from the side. She's correct in her lines. She gets out and flexes on the go. Not to mention, she might be at a slight age disadvantage to some of these others, but she has a lot of genuine shape and power when I step in behind her, a female that I really appreciate. The one that follows her, she's the high-performing, super muscled-up one. I'd like to see her maybe have a touch more rib on the top side of her shoulder and spread just a nickel wider there right in behind and make a touch neater up front, but two very high-quality females to start off. That's not to take anything away from the young ladies that comes in third. She's a super cool-fronted, extended kind of female. She just gives up some extra power when I get in behind her. She's just a touch flatter made. But overall, very nice females. Thank you.
First place purple goes to Bailey Barnard. Second place purple, Reese Barnard. And third place purple, Avery Barnard. We're going to bring the first two purples from each class into the ring. So that'll be Bailey Barnard, Avery Barnard, and both Reese Barnard. Up next, after this class, we're going to start Charlet male stalker feeder, and that's Zach Schnelly.
A lot of quality in the Angus from the top to the bottom. I've been really impressed with how this show started off. It always gets a little bit harder trying to compare males to females when you get out here in these things. But overall, I'm just going to stick with some fundamentals. It's going to be the young lady's bull calf that's going to be your champion. That is just a super sound-made kind of calf that gets out and goes. I love how he motors off his hip and hind leg, and one that I think has a big future ahead of him. The young lady's heifer, she's going to be your reserve. That's another really just cool made female, super functional in her skeleton. Those are both kind of my kind of cattle that I really appreciate and we're going to start off with. And that's not to take away from these second places. They're both very functional in their own rights. They just don't have some of those extra pieces that make them quite as neat made from the side. So thank you.
Your champion Angus Stalker feeder is Avery Barnard. Your reserve champion Angus Stalker feeder is Baylor Barnard. And both of these awards are sponsored by Barnard Angus in memory of Dean Goes. Your first class of Charolais male Stalker feeders is going to be Zach Schnelly. Up next is female Charolais Stalker feeders. That's Caleb Schnelly, Karsten Schnelly, Claire Schnelly, and Hannah Schnelly.
A really nice single entry bull calf here in the Charolais division, one I really appreciate in terms of how much shape and dimension he carries, especially when you get in behind him. He's pretty neat made from the side, and there's some things I could pick on. I'd like to clean him up in his chest floor just a nickel and make him a shot leveler out of his hip, but overall a very high performing stout made individual. Thank you.
Zach Schnelly got a purple ribbon. The second class here is female Charolais Stalker feeders. We have Caleb Schnelly, Karsten Schnelly, Claire Schnelly, and Hannah Schnelly.
Another high quality set of females. The young lady's heifer that I'm going to start off with is just super tall and extended from the side. If I could change her, I'd like to see her attach her neck just a notch higher to the top side of her shoulder. But overall, a stout made female that has tons of shape and dimension and is really bold through the center portion of her body. The one I follow her with is very similar in type and kind, with that extra spring to her rib up high, and probably has a shot more turn to her lower leg and stifle, but one that just gives up a little bit extra growth I'd like to see, and maybe isn't quite as comfortable in motion. The young man's that comes in third, she's neat made from the side, but she's just a touch flatter in terms of her muscle shape, and I'd like to see the base of her shoulder tucked in just a nickel more. The one I round out the class with, she's a nice female who gives you a look from the side, but it's when she sets into motion that I have some issues. I'd like to see her just not be quite so steep out of her hip and hind leg and have a shot more freedom when she sets into motion. Thank you.
First place purple goes to Hannah Schnelly. Second place purple, Claire Schnelly. Third place blue, Caleb Schnelly. Fourth place blue, Karsten Schnelly. Again, we're bringing in the first and second purples of each class. After this, we will have Gelby, male stalker feeders, Haley goes, and Ruby goes.
Overall, a solid set of cattle from top to bottom in the Shars here. I'm going to use the young lady's heifer that wins the second class as your champion. That's just a really neat made, complete kind of female that puts a lot of good together for me. The young man's bull is going to be your reserve. He's a rugged, stout made, powerful kind of bull. One I'd like to see just a touch leveler out of his hip and maybe go to the ground with a shot more bone. But overall, very nice cattle. Thank you.
Your champion Charlet Stalker feeder is Hannah Schnelly. Your reserve champion Charlet Stalker feeder was Zach Schnelly. In your arena now is the Gelbvi male stalker feeder, Haley goes and Ruby goes. Waiting in line should be the first class and limousine, and that's going to be your male stalker feeder, and that's going to be Drew Sims.
Two nice steers out here for the Gelve division, both different in kind, but it's going to be the young lady's black steer that wins it for me. He's just one when I step in behind him. He's got some extra boldness and spring of rib up high, and has a touch more power when I step in behind. That's not to take away from the red calf, who has a shot more flexibility when he steps into motion, but he's just a flatter rib, leaner muscle kind of calf. But both very nice animals. Thank you.
Champion Gelbvieh Stalker Feeder goes to Ruby Goes. Reserve Champion Gelbvieh Stalker Feeder is Haley Goes. Up next, we should have Limousine Male Stalker Feeder, Drew Sims. After that is Limousine Female Stalker Feeder, that's Dalton Dorn, Dawson Sims, and Weston Whitwer.
A nice single entry limousine bull, one that's super comfortable when he gets out in motion. I love how he goes from hock to ground and the flexibility that he has in his lower third of his leg. He's got enough power. He's one that I would like to see just a touch more shape in his rib up high and come a little bit stouter out of his pin set, but overall, really nice animal.
Drew Sims got a purple ribbon. Coming in the ring is Limousine Female Stalker Feeder, Dalton Dorn, Dawson Sims, Weston Whitworth.
A nice set of females out here. The one that starts off, she's a high-performing, high-growth kind of female. One that I would maybe like to see a touch more rib through her lower portion of her body and just a shot more comfort as she gets out and goes. But a tall-fronted, feminine kind of female that does have that extra added power. The heifer that comes in second, she's one that she's built right. She's one that I would like to see with just a touch more power when I step in behind her, but she's bold through the center portion of her body and has a lot of potential to grow. The young man that rounds out the class, that's easily the neatest made female from the side. She's extended up front. She's level in her lines. She's just one that gets flatter in comparison to the two that go ahead of her, but overall, 3 really nice females. Thank you.
First place purple goes to Weston Whitwer. Second place purple, Dawson Sims. And third place purple, Dalton Dorn.
Another good set of cattle out here. The young man's bull, he's just really neat, made from the side, combined with a lot of power and functionality and go when he goes, a lot of flexibility when he gets out and goes. The heifer that comes out of the heifer class, she's still one that I appreciate in terms of her shape and muscle. She just gets a touch plainer from the side. That being said, young man's bull's going to be your champion. Young man's heifer will be your reserve. Thank you.
Your champion limousine stalker feeder is Drew Sims. Reserve champion limousine stalker feeder goes to Weston Whitwer. And both of those awards are sponsored by Boyer Limousine, Jay and Carol Boyer and family. And the ring is Maine male stalker feeder, and that is shown by Regan Delabar.
A nice single entry out here in the mains. This bull calf is one that's super bold in his shape up high and feet square out of the backside of his shoulder. One I really appreciate in terms of his muscle shape and his flexibility when he gets out and goes. He's pretty neat made from the side. If I could change him, I'd like to just pull him in at the base of that shoulder a little bit and make it lay in there a touch neater, but overall a very nice bull calf. Thank you.
Reagan is going to be your champion main stocker feeder. Coming up next, she is also going to be in the maintainer male stocker feeder. Coming up after this, we are going to go into shorthorn male stocker feeder, and that is going to be Shelton Crawford.
Another nice single entry, one that I really appreciate from the side. He's a tall fronted kind of calf that's level in his lines, and when he gets out and goes, he's got plenty of flexibility and motion. One that I would maybe like to see just a little bit more rugged in his design, have a shot more power when I step in behind him. But again, a nice calf. Thank you.
Reagan Delabar is going to be your champion maintainer stocker feeder. Coming in the ring is going to be a shorthorn male stocker feeder, Shelton Crawford. Coming in after that, first call for shorthorn plus male stocker feeder, and that's going to be Boston Crawford.
Really nice shorthorn bull calf out here, one that I appreciate when he gets on the stand. He's super tall fronted and clean up through his neck, ties that in really nice right in behind his shoulder. He's bold through his forerib and has plenty of muscle expression when I step in behind him. If I could change him, I'd like to see him just be a touch more comfortable in his hocks on the go and plant a nickel square. But overall, another really nice bull calf. Thank you.
Your champion shorthorn stocker feeder is Shelton Crawford, and that award is sponsored by Butler Ag Equipment. Coming in the ring now is shorthorn plus male stocker feeder. That is Boston Crawford. This is first call for shorthorn plus female stocker feeder, and that is Abby Vales. Balls.
A nice Shorthorn Plus bull calf, one that I appreciate from the side. He's got some extra length and extension up front and gives me a good look. Has tons of power when I step in behind him all the way down through his lower leg and stifle. Just one that I would like to reconstruct in his hip and hind leg, level him out in that hip a little bit and make him a touch more comfortable on the go. Thank you.
Boston Crawford got a purple ribbon. Coming in the ring is your Shorthorn Plus female stalker feeder, and that is Abby Ballis.
Another really nice single entry. I really appreciate this heifer as she gets out and goes, the flexibility and functionality of her skeleton. One that when she gets on the stand, she gives you a super cool look with how she ties high to the top side of her shoulder and level down her line, while still maintaining some depth of body. You know, when you step in behind her, you could give her a shot more power, but overall a really nice, complete kind of female. Thank you.
Abby Ballis got a purple ribbon. After this class, we're going to go into Simmental, and that's going to be your Simmental male stalker feeder, Landry Krause, Briley Hartwig.
Do get animals out here in the Shorthorn Plus division. I guess for me, it's just the young lady's female that puts more together. She's just ultra cool made from the side, and her extra functionality of skeleton gives her the edge. That's not to take away from the young man's bull calf with the extra power that he carries. I just like to see him more comfortable in that hip and hind leg. Young lady will be your champion, young man reserve. Thank you.
Your champion Shorthorn Plus stalker feeder goes to Abby Ballis, and your reserve champion Shorthorn Plus stalker feeder is Boston Crawford. The next class coming up should be Simmental male stalker feeder. That's going to be Landry Krause and Briley Hartwig. After this class will be your Simmental female stalker feeder. That is your first call.
two nice bull calves out here. The young ladies is what I'm going to go ahead and start off with. That's a really neat made kind of calf. He's super extended up front. He ties high into the top side of his shoulder, and he's a touch more coordinated off his rear too when he sets into motion. He's one that I'd like to see a little bit bolder in the turn out of the top side of his rib cage and have a notch more power when I step in behind him, and that's where the young man's calf excels. That is an ultra rugged, powerful kind of bull calf that still shoots you a little bit of a look from the side. Just one that I would like to see a little more comfortable off of his rear too. Thank you.
Simmental male stalker feeder, first place Riley Hartwig with a purple, second place Landry Kraus with a purple. Coming in the ring next is your Simmental female stalker feeder. We have Caden Allington, Natalie Dean, Seth Dean, Avery Kraus, Landry Kraus, Carly Rains, Tatum Schroeder, Natalie Trowernick, Elsie Warner.
a really, really deep set of Simmental females here. It's just the extra shot of look and design that the young lady's heifer has that I'm going to go ahead and use. That is an ultra cool made female. She's wanting to fight the halter today, but I think if she would get out and go, she would be plenty functional in her skeleton as she gets on the stand just reading her angles. But that is an ultra feminine, ultra cool made kind that I think can go to the next level in the show ring. That's not to take anything away from this young man's heifer. That is an ultra high performing brood cow kind of female that I love to see. She just gets a little bit plainer on the stand, a little bit bolder through her shoulder, and one that I'd like to see just a tick neater made up front, but two very nice, sound, structurally correct females to start off with. The young ladies that comes out in third, that is one that I absolutely love on the stand. She's jack-necked, she's level down her top line and square hip. One that just doesn't have quite the same added performance as we see in the two ahead of her, but another sound structured, good skeleton female that I really appreciate on the side. Young ladies that comes out next, she wants to get just a nickel steeper out of her hip and isn't as coordinated off of her rear too, but one I appreciate in terms of her rib shape and dimension. One that could be just a touch bolder out of the top side of her rib and tuck her shoulder in there to lay it in a little bit neater. The young ladies that comes out next is another broody kind of female, one that just gets a little coarser up front, doesn't have quite the same growth and performance as some of the ones we see ahead of her. The three that round out the class are all ones that I really appreciate in terms of their functionality. They're sound made, they're good footed, they just don't have quite the same growth and performance as the others. I'd say they're at an age disadvantage, but that's not to take anything away. Overall, a very nice set of Simmental females. Thank you.
First place purple goes to Carly Rains. Second place purple, Caden Allington. Third place purple, Natalie Trowernick. Fourth place purple, Avery Kraus. Fifth place blue, Elsie Warner. Sixth place blue, Seth Dean. Seventh place blue, Landry Kraus. And eighth place blue, Natalie Dean. Again, we're going to bring the first and second purples to pick champion and reserve champion.
Once again, super impressed with the quality here in the Simmental division. I'm just going to run down the line, kind of talk through these animals individually one more time. That's a neat made bull. He's tall, he's elevated. Just one I would like to see turn bolder out of the top side of his rib cage and lay that shoulder in a touch neater. Once again, this young lady's female is just ultra cool from the side. She hits you hard and she doesn't disappoint as you step in behind her. That's a stout pin, big hipped kind of heifer. Young man's that comes in behind her, that's just, she screams brood cow. She's just an all really solid female, but doesn't have quite the extra pieces of flash. And then the young man's bull calf here on the end is another one that I really appreciate in terms of his extra shot of bone and power. He's just not as coordinated off his rear too. All that being said, I'm going to go ahead and keep the heifers together. Young lady will be your champion. Young man will be your reserve. Two very high quality females. But let's give a big round of applause to all these exhibitors. Thanks.
Your champion Simmental Stalker Feeder goes to Carly Rains, and your reserve champion Simmental Stalker Feeder goes to Caden Allington. And both of those awards are sponsored by State Line Farm Simmentals. Coming up next, we're going to have the Foundation Simmental Female Stalker Feeders. That's Carly Rains, Lainey Trowernick, and Hayden Warner.
Really nice set of foundation females out here. The young ladies over here, that's what I'm going to start the class off with. She's fighting the halter pretty hard today, but that's one that when I did see her get out and go in motion, she's plenty sound and functional in her skeleton. She's got a lot of flexibility on the go. One that you could add a little bit more shape and dimension, but a very complete kind of female who has just enough in all the right areas. The young man that's going to come in second, that's an ultra feminine one that I appreciate for her extension up front and as much bone as she goes to the ground with. She's stout, pinned, and big hip. I just like to see that followed up with a little bit extra turn out of the top side of her rib cage. She wants to get flatter just to the center portion of her body. The young ladies that rounds out the class is a stout made powerhouse kind of a female. She's one that just gets a touch coarser built and doesn't have quite the same aesthetics on the stand. Thank you.
Your champion foundation Simmental stalker feeder is Carly Rains. Your reserve champion foundation Simmental stalker feeder is Hayden Warner. And Lainey Trowernick also got a purple ribbon. We have split each commercial class in half, so coming in the first group of commercial male stalker feeders, we have Rachel Bueller, Sarah Bueller, Tatum Schroeder, Mason Selachik, and Easton Thompson.
The young lady's steer that starts off the commercial class, he's a tall-fronted, super extended kind of steer that I think when he goes to market is going to carry a lot of pounds to the rail. He's got a really high growth potential. He's neat made from the side and functional enough on the go. I appreciate when I step in behind him, just the extra shot of turn he has out of the top side of his rib cage and the muscle he carries to his lower leg and stifle. The one that follows him up is probably a touch neater made. He's got a shot more extension up front. He's a nickel leveler through his top line and lays his shoulder in a touch neater. Just one that I'd like to see with some more depth of body and turn to the top side of his rib cage. But that's nothing to take away from the two really good steers. The young man's red steer that comes out next, more moderate kind of calf that gives you a good look from the side, just simply doesn't have quite the same mass and power as we see in the two ahead of him. The young ladies that follows there, that is an ultra stout, powerful kind of calf. I'd say he's short on days compared to the other two, but a really stout made, powerful kind of calf that it's just going to be a little bit later maturing. The young man's that rounds out the class just gets a touch plainer in his muscle shape, but plenty of functionality and practicality in that animal. Thank you.
First place purple goes to Sarah Bueller. Second place purple goes to Rachel Bueller. Mason Sedlacek also got a purple. And Tatum Schroeder and Easton Thompson got blue ribbons. Coming in next is also commercial male stalker feeder. There's Jacob Wallenberg, Rayanne Hartwig, Logan Koenig, and Abby Vallis.
Another nice set of commercial cattle out here. It's the young lady's haired up steer that I'm going to use to win. He's just an overall really complete animal who's genuine and bold to the turn of the top side of his rib cage. He's got some added depth of body, and he's more than functional when he gets out and goes. I love how he handles himself off of his hip and hind leg and the extra shot of extension he has up front. I understand he is the more moderate steer in the class, and that's where I give the advantage to the bull calf that's going to come in second. That's an ultra long spine, tall fronted kind of steer. He's one that I just like to see some more shape up high and be more coordinated off of his rear too. The young man's red steer that comes in third is another really practical, easy feeding kind of steer that has some shape and dimension. He just didn't have some of the extra pieces I was looking for today. And the young man's that rounds out the class has plenty of functionality and practicality. Just a plainer made steer that can't quite compete with the ones ahead of him. Thank you.
The last class, first place purple ribbon went to Abby Vallis. Second place purple ribbon went to Rayanne Hartwig. Our other purple went to Logan Koenig, and a blue went to Jacob Wallenberg. In the ring is our commercial female stalker feeders. We have Chloe Brower, Rachel Bueller, Sarah Bueller,
A nice set of cattle out here for the commercials. The young ladies out of the first class, that's just a really practical, easy feeding kind of steer that I think really fits into about any feedlot scenario. Young ladies out of the second class, he's more geared towards the show ring. He has some of those extra pieces that draw your eye to him on the stand. All that being said, I'm going to use the young ladies out of the first class as your champion, young lady out of the second as your reserve, but two both very high quality animals. Thank you.
If any of the exhibitors that didn't have family come today, you can watch the live stream on YouTube. All you have to do is go to YouTube and search Gage County Fair, and it will bring up the live stream. So if there's anybody that is not here that wants to watch it, all they have to do is go to YouTube. Coming in the ring now is your first group of commercial female stocker feeders. We have Chloe Brower, Rachel Bueller, Sarah Bueller, Natalie Dean, Seth Dean, Logan Katz, and Avery Krause.
Good start to the commercial heifers. The young man's here on the end. When he gets her stuck right, she has a lot of look. I would like to see her attach her neck just higher to the top side of her shoulder and be a shot more feminine up front, but overall a really sound, functional female that has some growth and performance and a maternal look about her. That's the lady that comes in second. That's another brood cow kind of female. She's bulled through the center portion of her body, and when I step in behind her, she has plenty of power and performance. Just one I would like to see a little neater made from the side and tuck her in at the base of her shoulder. The young man's red heifer that comes in third, that is an ultra feminine, high tying female that's level in her design and has super functional and flexible on the go. She's just one that I would like to see turned a little bit bolder out of the top side of her rib cage and have a shot more turn to her lower leg and stifle. The baldy heifer that comes next, that's a really high growth, high performance kind of female. Where I fault her is in her structure. She just wants to get steeper out of that hip and doesn't flex as well in her hock and hind leg. But overall, 4 very nice females to start off. Coming into these next ones, the young ladies that's next, she just gets to be a touch crestier made and plainer from the side, but another high performance kind of female that's functional enough in her skeleton. The 2 that round out the class are both practical in their own right. They just are at a disadvantage in terms of size and performance, and that's where they fall today. Thank you.
First place purple goes to Logan Katz. Second place purple goes to Rachel Bauer. Also a purple goes to Seth Dean. And with blue ribbons, we have Chloe Bauer, Natalie Dean, Sarah Bueller, and Avery Krause. The second group of commercial female stalker feeder, there's Bentley Myers, Tatum Schroeder, Jaden Thompson, Natalie Trowernick, Elsie Warner, Hayden Warner, Addison Koenig, and Dayton Pullman.
Another good set of commercial females out here. It's the young lady's white stockinged heifer that really puts it all together for me. Two that are very similar in type and kind to start off. In terms of their design and their structural build. She's just the one that comes with a little bit of extra added power and boldness out of the top side of her rib cage. I love how much muscle she carries as I step in behind her and how she still remains flexible and functional on the go. That's not to take away from the young lady's heifer in second place. That is an ultra feminine female that ties high to the top side of her shoulder and maybe gives you just a shot more of a look when she really cocks off, but one that just doesn't carry quite the same amount of performance and mass for me today. The young man that comes in third, that is a brood cow through and through. She is a high-performing, high-growth kind of female that's plenty functional in her skeleton, just one that I would like to see be a touch flashier on the stand. She gets a little bit plainer to look at. The young lady that comes in fourth, that is a super cool made, super good structured female, just one that I wish had a little bit more growth behind her in comparison to the three ahead of her, but a really complete kind of female. Just doesn't have quite the same power as we see as those that go ahead, but a really cool made, really neat looking heifer. The young man's red heifer that comes next, she's a brood cow again. She just gets a touch plainer fronted, doesn't carry quite that same depth of body and added growth as some of the ones ahead of her. The two that round the class out, they just come. The two that round the class out just aren't quite as functional and practical in their skeleton. They get a little bit flatter in terms of their rib cage and don't carry quite the same capacity as some of those that we see ahead of them. Thank you.
The first purple in the class goes to Elsie Warner. The second purple in the class goes to Natalie Trowernick. The other two purples went to Tatum Schroeder and Hayden Warner. And then three blues went to Bentley Myers, Jaden Thompson, and Addison Koenig.
Overall, a really nice set of commercial females. Just in terms of type and kind, I'm going to keep the first and second out of that second class to come back for the overall, but very good females through and through. Good set of commercial cattle, top to bottom. Guess for me, that Baldy heifer that wins the female division, she just puts it all together. She's going to be your champion today. Young lady with the steer, you're going to be reserved. Thank you.
Your champion commercial stocker feeder goes to Elsie Warner, and that award is sponsored by Bueller Cattle. Your reserve champion commercial stocker feeder was Sarah Bueller, and the sponsor for that award was CMT Cattle.
I want to start off just thanking you guys for allowing me to come out here and start your Stocker Feeder show today. Hopefully I haven't disgruntled too many people with the decisions I've made, but outside of that, I just want to thank you guys and thank you for bearing with me. I guess with that being said, it's hot out here. These cattle are getting tired. I'm going to go out and show you which two I like, though. Thank you.
Your grand champion Stocker Feeder goes to Carly Rains, and the sponsor for that was Farmers Cooperative. Your reserve champion Stocker Feeder went to Elsie Warner, and the sponsor for that was Farm Credit Services of America. Can I have the champion and reserve champion go over and take your pictures once you are done with the photographer?